Hello, I'm Annie Bats, and I have a YouTube channel dedicated to The Sims 2. It started out as a Let's Play channel, but I have since then branched out into speed building, tutorials, and other kinds of videos, including Machinimas. My first attempt at one was back in 2021, when I created a 4-part short story about Lilith Pleasant called The Vicious. Since then, I've been creating little cutscenes from my Pleasant You Let's Play series, adding them in when something particularly important is happening. And I'm currently working on the season 2 finale that's gonna be a full-length Machinima in 3 parts. Some of you left me questions, and I wanted to say thank you so much for that. I've been really looking forward to answering them. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. First question is, how did you learn to do Machinimas? And well, through pure stubbornness, I would say. Back when I decided to make that short story as a sort of Christmas special for my channel, I knew nothing about Machinima at all, and I had to take a crash course because I had decided that I'm gonna make a Machinima for Christmas. That's just happening. Funny thing is that my inspiration for that was that we have this thing in Sweden. I don't know if this is a thing in other countries or not, but it's called a Christmas calendar. It's a story that plays out in short episodes day by day up until Christmas. And that was my idea, that I was going to create a Machinima series and release 1 episode per day. Turned out that it took a lot of time and effort, and in the end I released the final episode of that 4-part series in like the end of January. Learning to do it was pretty difficult, to be honest. There's not a lot of resources out there for how to make Machinima, and I think that that is mostly to do with the fact that everybody's experience with Machinima is so different. Every single person that I've been talking to that creates Machinima has told me a completely different story about how they do it, what their process is, and everyone's results always look so different as well. So it's mostly been trial and error, honestly, and also utilizing my knowledge of the game itself. I've also been fortunate enough to receive a lot of help and support. One person in particular has helped me out a lot, and that is Big Mouth. Big Mouth has been a great mentor to me, answering all of my strange questions, guiding me, and I couldn't be more grateful. Did you have a rigid structure of the series plot from the beginning? Or did you start with a general idea for each family or sim and let the game influence how things happened through wants and fears? I can't say that I've ever had a rigid structure, but I've certainly had plot points going on even from the first Let's Play video that I released. The storytelling has been really heavy from the get-go, and that's only increased with the Machinima scenes. Back when I first started out the series, I didn't plan a lot. I had it all in my head, and I told the story sort of as it was happening in front of me. I sometimes think of myself as a game master in a role-playing game with my Sims as the players, and my role has sort of become to describe what is going on around them, and they're gonna have to show me how they're gonna react to it. Sometimes I decide that for them, of course, but often it just happens organically. What is your creative process when you align the episodes with the rotations of the neighborhood? Do you decide what needs to happen in the season and then program the episodes and play order accordingly? Or do you plan the episodes and events around an established play order? And do you have a script written out for episodes? Yes, I do have a script written out. You could say I use a PowerPoint presentation to sort of plan out what each episode is going to contain. I've had season 2 mapped out like that for a while now, and things have changed around a bit as I've been creating the episodes, of course. But it's been a great way to visualize what I'm gonna do each episode and to go step by step, also making sure not to miss anything. Something that's been very important when it comes to the Machinima aspect is to not ever write anything in advance. Anything can happen when you play the game, after all. But I always plan out where I want to make the cut. So I work up until that point and then leave a little space where I don't really do much except sort of rearranging the Sims where I want them to have ended up once the cutscene is over, so I can pick up from there. I really enjoy how differently you use expressions for your characters. Hector feels very different from other teens you film, for example. Do you have a document with which animations a particular sim uses for their emotions, or do you play it by ear? Well, the short answer to that is no, I do play it by ear. The long answer is something strange happens when you sit down to film scenes in The Sims 2. You're gonna notice that your Sims start acting, and I mean really acting. It's funny that you mentioned Hector though, because he has turned out to be one of my absolute favorite Sims to film. I remember one scene in particular when I had him hiding away in a changing room out of embarrassment, and wow, I couldn't take my eyes off him, honestly. What is the animation / post box or a hack that you have used most when filming Machinima? Do you have any favorite ones? And what are your favorite animations to use? And the best tips and tricks you have learned since starting to make Machinimas? Well, there's no competition really, is there? It's gotta be the core gals, talk hacks, medium priority, and start and stop functions. I use both this purple version and also the original brown one for situations when I need to have the Sims in a pose and they can't break it. But I really prefer using this because I love blending animations. As for the animations themselves, I have to physically stop myself from using taken aback, annoyed by. I have used that one so much and I have to stop myself. I have found that apologizee, calm down, is a good alternative for someone who needs to look a bit sassy when they say something. So I started to use that in combination now. One of the issues with this is that it's difficult to blend anything that's an argument because the Sims sort of go a bit crazy with those animations. So I've used ha, eek, don't accuse me a lot instead of one of the argumentative ones. In general, I like using those that are fairly long and in combinations with a lot of other ones that are also quite lengthy, because the thing is that when they are different length, when the Sims loop around the talk hacks over and over again, they're going to combine a bit differently each time. So that's going to give you a lot of different options to match with the actual lines that they speak and find the perfect moment, really. For that reason, I use Would You Like to Go Out a lot as well. And also, of course, everyone's favorite, Make Point, Reject, Don't Know. As for the best tips and tricks, never forget to freeze the time. The all menus cheat is your best friend. Sims are gonna constantly ruin your shots by making idle animations. You're just gonna have to roll with it. Sometimes you can even use it if you're lucky. Always have one Sim on hand that is not gonna be part of the scene at all, that you can just use for not having anything in their queue. Be careful about what you have in the background in the scenes, and above all, trust the process. Even if things look very strange and bad when you first start to film, when it's all edited and done and you have the music and the sound and the lines and everything in place, it's going to be a completely different story, so don't give up. Would you consider doing a behind the scenes or tutorial type video? Yes, definitely. This is something that I've been thinking about and wanting to do for a long time, but I haven't figured out how to go about it yet. I've also not been confident enough to do it. Despite having filmed Machinima for several years now, I felt like a beginner for the longest time. I've only just recently started to build up enough confidence, so I think maybe soon I'm gonna be able to release something like that. What do you believe the future holds for your series? And can you share if you are thinking about creating some standalone Machinima films or series like your Vicious miniseries? Well, as I've already touched on, I am currently working on a pretty big Machinima project, and that's the season finale of season 2, Pleasant View. It's going to be in 3 parts, and it's going to be a full feature length, so wish me luck, I guess. As for other films or miniseries, I would love to do that. There are so many potential characters to use for things like that, and backstories that I would like to explore. Now, one of my favorite things about having a Let's Play series that runs parallel with the Machinima project is that I have a huge cast of Sims that I can use at any time. I can literally go tag your it at any random Sim, and that Sim is the main character for the day. It's really fun to explore, and I'm sure I'm gonna do a lot of more projects in future. Unfortunately, that's all I have time for. I know that I received a lot more questions than this, and I am deeply grateful for each and every question that I did get. I'm gonna post another Q&A video on my channel after this, just so I can catch all those questions that weren't directly related to the Machinima part of my projects, and also any other questions that you might have. Take care, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!